almost never said that, eh?
All right, let me know.
Okay, we're recording. Set.
Oh, you know what? I need my phone. Is it upstairs?
It is okay.
All right. We've got people jumping in. All right. All right, we're just going to give it a couple more minutes to see if anyone else jumps in, and then we'll get started. Okay. All right, Tosh, you think I should go for it?
Yeah, I want everybody though to show their beautiful faces if they can, so we
Oh,
can
yeah.
document that this is actually happening. So, all right, let's see.
Yeah, everybody turn your cameras on for a hot minute.
Let me change my little.
Layout. Oh, now we've got more people coming in, so hold on, Tosh.
I know.
Are you letting them in? Oh, you got it.
And maybe stop the. Did you already start recording?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if your beautiful face isn't already on here, go ahead and turn on your camera super quick. Only if it's safe, because I see some of you are in the car. And I just want to take a really quick screenshot. All right, 1, 2, 3. Smile. So the funny thing is, like, I never tell people to smile, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I should have like warned everybody, because everybody has like wonky faces. So thank you very much. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna let Anne take over because she's gonna get us started.
I am, as soon as I figure out how to share my screen. I know I've done this before, but sometimes it takes me a darn minute. There we go. Is that now? Can't share your screen. Google Chrome might not have been screen recording permission on your computer. Oh, great. It's not going to let me share my screen. Hold on a second.
I think this happened last time, Anne.
It is screen recording.
Did you put it in this in our drive?
No, but I may have to. Hold on just one second. I think I can. I'm recording. There we are. Bear with me 1 minute. I think I maybe got it.
Oh, well, we still have people coming, so that's
Yep.
good.
Oh, I got to quit and reopen. So hold on a second. I just got to quit Chrome.
I don't know.
Okay.
So I'll just, are you ready? Oh, no, Anne left. She'll be back in a second. So we'll wait for her to come back. So I was just going to share a funny tidbit with you guys, because some of you, a lot of you can probably relate. Today, I was just kind of being sad about, my oldest will be graduating this year and going to school. And so I was thinking like, oh my God, what am I going to do with their room? And then it came to my attention, like I can turn their whole playroom into like my gym, my own office. Like I get all of this free space. And then I felt horribly guilty for feeling that way, because I was a little excited. So I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced that, but it was kind of one of those moments, like life moments that you're like, wow, I never thought I would be here talking about that, but I was like, oh my God, I can have my own gym. I can like use every bathroom that I want to. I don't have to pick up boys' socks anymore. But I know I will miss them. And I know some of you, especially my clients, have been dealing with a big transition, this fall with your kids going either back to school or starting school, and it's definitely not an easy one. All right, so now we have to admit Anne. Anne, I had to admit you, and now we can't hear you.
Okay. Success. To the best of my knowledge. Here we go. All right. Okay, why is this? This is so crazy. It's not. It's still not letting me do this. What the heck? Present
Maybe,
now. And I use
maybe
that
just,
now, right? And I should be able to share my screen.
yeah, maybe,
Oh, wait. Hold on a moment. I think I got it here.
if you guys have never been on a call with us or have not met us in person, between Corinne, myself, and Anne, we are all kind of challenged at a lot of things. So we tend to kind of be like the Three Stooges. So thank you for being patient with us.
For real. Okay, I think I'm in some progress here. Hold on one quick second.
And you could throw it in the drive. and then
I think I
can
got it. It's just
Okay.
making me verify who I am and all that fun stuff. So yes.
All right. So while we're waiting for that,
so it's taking 1 second to let me back in so I can get to the drive.
So while Anne's doing that and getting us all ready to go, today our topic is calm it down. So there is a huge need for just, I think, for everybody to find more, I call it alignment in our daily lives. And we just wanted to talk about it and bring it up. And we were really hoping we would even have more clients on the call, because it is probably one of the number one reasons that prevent progress. There's, as coaches, we see it every single week with almost all check-ins. It can be something as simple as like not getting enough sleep that kind of throws your entire body off. Cortisol levels are staying heightened, and just so many other things contribute to that. But for all of us as coaches, we talk about it all the time, like especially when we have athletes in prep. You can get into peak week and your body stop responding, and it literally could be something like how much sleep did you get the night before? And athletes can say, oh, I had a stressful day and I only got like 4 hours of sleep. And, sometimes we'll pull everything, no working out, no nothing, you have to go to bed. And that can make all the difference in the world. Like, it is that big of a difference. So when you hear myself or your coaches really emphasizing like stress reduction, it is so important. It's just as important as following macros, just as important as going to the gym. It's like part of the big picture. And so that's what we wanted to get together today and just share some things with you. And then we'll offer some methods that, we know work for us and for clients. And then we'll open it up and ask you guys to contribute anything that you have. So while we're doing the presentation, you can also throw things in the messenger if you've got some resources, because I put together a document that I will send out, that all of you, that, I can add anything to it. So, Anne, are you ready? I think Anne dropped again. So Dana said that this has been her week. Yeah, Anne's orders she's got to chill out, right? And it does. So I would ask Dana, has it made a difference? Dana, if you want to come off mute. I don't know if she hears us or hears me. So yeah, so that's what the focus is going to be today. Oh, there she is. Okay, Dana, you want to share with us? Oh, you have to turn off your mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to hit the button and then I had to hit allow and all this. Yeah. So my oldest actually went off to college 4 weeks ago. And it has just been like a very stressful season. And so Anne said, don't worry about the gym. Eat good, like focus on your nutrition, focus on getting rest. And it really has made all the difference this week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you're honoring yourself and your body that way. Because it does, it makes a huge difference. And I think, for all of you guys on this call, whether, I know you personally as a client or not, like we're all very driven. And so it is very hard to kind of take that step back a lot of times because you feel like you're not moving forward, but you actually are. And so sometimes I think just having somebody tell you like, hey, you need to slow your roll makes a huge difference. All right, Anne, are you ready?
Were you able to see that slide I had up?
No, you left us.
It kicked me out, but I had it up. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why it would, guys.
Does anybody else have an experience that they want to share about just how they know kind of stress levels have been really elevated and they had to take a step back or do something different? Subi? And then Brenda.
Yeah. I have been stressed or was stressed for a very long time, like with just work. And kind of, I used to work in the corporate world, and I was in HR, which is just stressful in itself. And then, just jumping into prep, my body was not responding. So it just was a shocker when I realized taking time to myself, and I ended up actually taking a few months of leave. And that leave, I want to tell you, Natasha, I think maybe like 2 weeks after my leave started, that's when my body started to respond. So it was really shocking to me to it just shocked me so much that I was like, I can't believe like just relaxing, taking a step back and removing myself from an environment that isn't suiting me has helped transform my body in just under 2 weeks. So the rest helped a lot. I really started looking into natural supplements to help with like my adrenals and my cortisol levels. And I can also I'll make sure to add that stuff into the chat, like, some of the things that helped with me, with my stress levels. But like I use things like I did everything. I used like an acupressure mat that really helped. So yeah, I mean, it just, the body is a beautiful thing, and it's it's wild when, I mean, I'm still kind of like shocked at like how just relaxing, taking a step back and just like really focusing on your health and your well-being can make a world of a difference. So yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that, Subi, because I didn't want to share your story.
Oh,
Yeah. I
I
will tell you guys. Yeah. So Subi it was so funny because we did our first season last year, and this season she was on point. Everything was on point. She was following macros. She works out, like there was no question, but like body was not budging at all.
Yeah.
And I remember we had the conversation and I shared with her, I'm like, I think stress levels are really high. And it was funny because she was like, I've got it under control this season. Like, I don't feel, like from the season previous, she felt a lot better because she had found like better methods, like just dealing with a lot of things that were going in her life. So it was even amazing to me when she told me, she's like, I had to take a step back from work because literally within 2 weeks, we didn't even change her macros.
No.
I kept the macros the same because typically that's when we're like, all right, let's be aggressive. We got to start dropping stuff. We got to get cardio super high.
Yep.
And so from that point, when Subi stepped back from work, I never changed her macros and never changed her cardio. And
Literally,
so
weight just started.
yeah. So it was pretty amazing. And so what ended up happening with Subi is our first show of the season ended up being a national show, and she did extremely well. But our plans were we were going to do a show before then. But it was just like stress levels were so high. And I know at Fit Body Fusion, all of us as coaches, we are very protective over you guys, right? So if we know that there's a lot of life things going on and it's not the right time, you will hear us say like, hey, I think we should look at something different. And if you're not competing, it's the same thing. Like if you're a lifestyle client, you'll hear us say like, hey, you know, we need to kind of step back and take a look at some different things because the body is pretty amazing. So thank you for sharing that with me. Brenda, did you still want to share?
Yes. Sorry about that. Having a little bit of audio issue here. Yeah, so stress wise, I'd say a few months ago, my boss unexpectedly passed away. So I had taken over running a command center and sleep wasn't happening. My commute is atrocious. So my coach was really on my side with tracking my sleep cycle and my sleep schedule, and pretty much cut me down on my workouts and said focus on yoga and meditation and things like that. We didn't get into the like holistic or all natural vitamins or anything, but she was real understanding on, all right, you know, just don't do anything until you can get a grasp of, you know, what's happening, because it was such a huge life event that just kind of hit me unexpectedly. And that was really good for not having to have that added stress, which then caused added inflammation, all the other kind of stuff that we all go through. But it was really great to just sleep and, you know, keep it real low key until everything was all said and done.
I can't hear you, Natasha. Natasha.
Well, I was thanking Brenda, but she didn't hear me. Thank you, Brenda, for sharing that.
Josh,
And
oh, sorry. I threw that in the drive.
okay. Yeah, I'm looking it up. Okay, so let me look up that really quick. But thank you, Brenda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And did it make a big difference?
It absolutely did. It gave me the time I needed mentally and to really get my mental clarity so that I could make sure I was staying on track. And of course, my macros were all over the place. So it gave me the time I needed to regroup and refocus on everything that I needed to do to continue on the journey that I'm on.
That's amazing. And I'm so glad you had that time for yourself. It's priceless is kind of the thing I'm looking for. Okay. And where did you put it?
I put it in the Masters drive, our
Okay.
shared drive Masters, and it should say definition of stress on the first page.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to show my
It's actually
challenge.
It's actually called Slow It Down.
Okay.
And it's in the folder called Masters.
Okay. Google Drive. Okay.
Yeah, it was really weird. I got to I changed the setting and I could share it, and then as soon as I would share it, it would kick me out of the meeting. So it was crazy.
Okay. All right, here it is. Let us going. Okay. All right. So let me go here.
I'm gonna let you share.
Share. Slow it down. Share.
There we go.
Aha.
And then
Okay.
just your slideshow, if you could just hit start from.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
I'm gonna
Everyone, 20 minutes later. Okay, so I just wanted to first, as obviously we've been talking about this topic of bringing down stress. We all know that in this day and age, we're not telling you to avoid stress or mitigate stress because we can't. We all have jobs and lives and partners and kids. And on top of it, we're trying to be athletes and train and be healthy and meal prep and do all of these things, just add to the pile, right? So the whole topic tonight was how to kind of bring down or how to offset some of that stress. So And we're talking chronic stress, like the stress that just keeps eating at us. And so the definition of chronic stress, it just says perceiving life demands as significantly exceeding one's ability to cope over time, resulting in feelings of fear and worry, sleep disturbances, cognitive difficulties, and avoidance. Now, I don't know that when you're in a chronic state of stress for so long, I don't even know that sometimes we notice that we're having such a hard time coping or that we are avoiding certain things in our lives because the stress is just pushing us to a point where it feels normal, right? Like, this is just my life. I'm just stressed out all the time. And so I think we get stuck not recognizing what chronic stress is. We push it to the next slide, Natasha. So I just kind of got to walk you guys through. I'm visual, so for me, it helps me to kind of understand what's happening in my body when I'm overly stressed. So obviously, stress is not necessarily a bad thing. It's our body's response to flight or flight, right? So if a tiger is about to attack you, you want your body to release cortisol to give you that boost so you can take off and do your thing. So I love this graph because it kind of shows you your brain triggers the flight or fright response. Your body releases cortisol into the bloodstream, which cortisol in and of itself is not a bad thing. Your body then releases sugars and fats into the bloodstream, which are fuel sources, right? So it's telling you, run, get away from the tiger. When your body, and then the tiger's gone, you're home, you're behind the gate.
And you stopped, so we can't hear you. If you can hear us. I'll just text her. Hmm. Hold on, guys. Let me call her. Okay, she's coming back. She got kicked off for some odd reason. So while we're waiting for Anne to come back, and I'll just insert a little bit, and I always mention this to all of my clients that inflammation it is sometimes a good thing. And I always say, you know, like when people are really sick or you're extremely stressed out and people are like, oh my God, do I need to go work out? I will usually say, no, I need you to rest. Because you still are getting that inflammation from working out, right? So sometimes if your body is in that really chronic state and you just keep going and adding on inflammation on top of inflammation, it can be, it's just, you're not helping the cause. So inflammation can be a good thing, but it, you know, it can also not serve us. Go ahead, Krista. Did you have a question or comment? No? Okay. I thought I saw Anne come back. Anne, are you back? There she is. Turn your mic on, babe.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know why it keeps kicking me out of here. So anyway, so your cortisol is released into your bloodstream. Obviously, sugar and fats are released as an energy source to keep you going. Well, once the threat's gone, your body returns to normal. If the threat doesn't ever leave or the energy isn't used, stress, the stressor isn't addressed, the stress level keeps building. And you'll see if you stay to the right of the chart, it just continues in this loop. Right? Your body releases more blood, more cortisol, and you just stay in this loop. So Natasha, push to the next slide, please.
Hey, quick question.
So
I'm
yeah.
sorry, before you continue. So when that when it goes back into that loop again, if you don't mind going back to the other slide one more time, if you can.
Go back one. Gosh.
Yeah. So you see where it says the release of sugar and fats into the bloodstream. So if
Yes.
the stressor stays and
Yes.
it goes that loop over and over again, that releasing of the sugar and the fats into the bloodstream, does that add to weight gain? Is that what that does?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And it
Okay.
also adds to insulin resistance because
That's it.
now your body is being flooded with glucose all the time from high cortisol. So yeah, anytime you're in a state of high cortisol all the time, you are pushing yourself towards insulin resistance, which is also very much driven by inflammation. So yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think this kind of loop kind of shows you the same thing. So when you're in a constant state of stress, elevated adrenaline and cortisol levels, it depletes your nutrient stores and it compromises your immune system, which leads to inflammation, low-grade chronic inflammation. The body is struggling to either fight infection, repair itself, recover. It can't do those things when you're inflamed at a cellular level. And then that starts damaging body tissue, organs at a cellular level, and triggers even further stress response in your body. So it creates this really, really vicious loop of stress, inflammation, damage to your body, stress, inflammation, damage to the body. So we've got to get out of this loop. Okay, next slide, Natasha. And then this one just kind of gives you like an over idea. So in your head, like connect the idea of chronic stress and inflammation. They really go hand in hand. And we know when the body is inflamed at a cellular level for an extended period of time, you're not communicating. Your cells in your body aren't communicating properly, and it leads to a whole host of problems that can arise in your body. So this just kind of gives a little like general overview. But if you go to the next slide, Tosh, I kind of listed out some of the bigger things, and these are things that we as coaches see all the time. And these are things that we're battling with, trying to help our clients get past these things. And a lot of them are adrenal insufficiencies. Either your cortisol, you get a blood draw, right? Your cortisol is cranking and it's staying really, really high. That's like phase 1 and phase 2 of adrenal insufficiencies. When you stay in that state for an extended period of time, you're in a really big crisis and you stay that way for a long time, your adrenals get tired and then they stop cranking out cortisol. They're like, okay, our cortisol's not doing us any good, and it stops. And then your cortisol goes really, really low. That's phase 3 or 4 adrenal insufficiency, and 3 and 4 is worse. So once your cortisol has stopped pumping out at all, that creates a whole host of problems. I won't go into all that, but it's just as bad as being in phase 1 or 2. And then hormone imbalance, PCOS, insulin resistance. I talked about that. When your body is constantly cranking out fat and sugar, glucose, to try and, fight the tiger, you're going to end up with some insulin resistance issues in the phase of like type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, which is an extension of insulin resistance, thyroid disorders. It can download, so you're in a constant state of stress, your body will start pulling out T3 in the form of reverse T3. It'll start pulling it out of your body to slow you down, which is your thyroid downregulating. And we all know that leads to weight gain and feeling like garbage. Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune, and a whole host of other autoimmunes that are triggered and driven by stress and inflammation. Weight loss resistance, gut issues, joint pain, sleeping disorders. So it's a pretty long list. So I think the point I'm trying to make is how important the connection is, how important it is for us to bring down our stress levels in our body and try and get the inflammation down so that our cells can communicate. So that's kind of just an idea of, or overview, some pictures of how stress truly creates physiological responses in your body and what it can do to you. So now we need to talk about, what do we do? So how do we do it? We can't remove stress from our life. We have to learn to manage it. Natasha, we can stop sharing this screen. That's the end of my dissertation.
Okay. And Muriel asked, what is PCOS?
Oh, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it is driven by hormone imbalance. Basically, when your testosterone gets really, really, really elevated, it causes overgrowth and cysts in your ovaries. It's painful, but it also leads to all kinds of, you can start having, you go very androgenic. So you start having the same issues you would have as if you were pumping too much testosterone into your body. You're going to start having relations to that. All right.
All right.
So Tasha, we talk about what do we do to manage our
Calm
stress?
it down. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me get myself together here. I think I closed down mine.
Sorry.
Okay, give me just a second. No, that's fine. Let's see here. Okay, slides. Calm it down. Okay. All right. So share screen. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about before I even put up my screen. Well, I'll put it up. That way we have it here. Okay. So before I go to the next slide, the big thing is there are going, if you work with your coach, and especially if you have labs drawn, which we always recommend, there's going to be like lots of different things that you need to do to address inflammation and different things that are going on that are, specific to you. So the things that we're talking about today are things that you can actually do yourself, like right for yourself. So the thing that I have experienced personally and as a coach is that a lot of times we want to just be like, just give me a supplement, let me take something so I can resolve this, and like keep going and working out all the time and being high stress, and that way it can be better, right? And that is definitely not going to be the complete picture so we can get better. So today we're just addressing like the things that you can do. So it's going to be definitely more self-care, but I highly recommend if you notice that you're living in a high stress state, definitely touch base with your coach. So you can have labs done and you guys can just talk about some of the other things that you may possibly have going on in your life. All right. So how do I reduce stress? Some of the methods these are some of the things that we have talked about. Now, sleep that's not a negotiable. That's not like hey, Natasha, I don't need to sleep. I only need 3 hours of sleep. Like that. No, that's like, no. Everybody needs sleep. Sleep. Now, I think just kind of in general, we have lent our lives to not sleeping a lot, and we think that it's okay. But I'm telling you, once you can get sleep under control, and a lot of times you have to do some other things before you can get sleep there. But sleep is a huge way to bring down stress. It's the way the body replenishes, and it's the way that it heals. So I had just put on here, really good tools. Like for me personally, I have an Aura ring. I think Anne has a whoop strap. Correct, Anne?
Correct.
When you start getting into, and I was like so anti any kind of tracker, like that's how I used to be. I was like, yeah, whatever. But it has made a world of difference for me because I've been able to just correct some of my own behaviors and kind of figure out what do I need to do for myself for sleep. And I know it was probably the same for Anne on that. Do you want to add anything to that, Anne?
No, absolutely. I think, and both of these devices, if you're not familiar with them, they give you a lot of information, but they not only track your sleep, but they track kind of the quality of your sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, light sleep. And then it'll tell you, okay, you slept like trash last night. You got a horrible recovery. Your body is not primed to train hard today. Today needs to be so it kind of coaches you too. It'll be like, today needs to be a rest day kind of a thing. I think the Aura Ring kind of does the exact same thing. I think sometimes it is really helpful to have an outside source. You wake up, you're dragging, and you're like, God, I don't feel like I slept well. And I look at my whoop score and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I did not sleep well today. It needs to be a restorative walk day. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because my ring has been telling me like my recovery is crap for like the past year. And so, like now I'm on a protocol and I'm like, finally, I used to sleep 4 hours a night. And now I sleep between 6.5 to 7.5 hours, and I am at my recovery score is at least in a zone that it'll tell me, hey, now's today's a great day to work out. So it's just crazy how like I wasn't giving myself kind of that leeway. So yeah, it's been life changing. Muriel mentioned weighted blankets. That's awesome, and I will add that to the list that we sent to you guys. So I put massage. Anne, Corinne, and I, as we were prepping for this call, we all talked about it, and apparently massage is not relaxing for everybody. For some it is, for others it isn't. There's always going to be different types of massages. But it is one method. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. Meditation is always going to be great. Again, a lot of these methods don't work for everybody. But meditation is phenomenal if you can make that. Krista, the device is either the Aura Ring or the Whoop Strap. And we'll have a document that I'll put in the WhatsApp group, this week with just all these different resources. So meditation, there's lots of different apps out there. The Calm app is a really good one. Headspace is also a really good one. They do a lot of guided things, and they just make it a little bit more usable, I would say. So don't feel intimidated by it. You can start like meditating like a couple minutes a day. It doesn't need to be like 30 minutes or an hour a morning. Puzzles are also really helpful. Coach Corinne, that's one thing that she does for herself, just puzzles, because she can disconnect. That's a really good thing. Journaling is also good. But again, like I shared, for myself, journaling is not relaxing for me. It doesn't help reduce stress. It actually increases stress. But for some, it is very, very helpful. Adult coloring, and I'll let Anne talk about that one.
Yeah, that's one that I have found to be hugely relaxing for me. And I came about it like during the pandemic when everyone was so spun out. What are we going to do with ourselves? And so I ordered a bunch of adult coloring books and posters. And it's just, for me, that's relaxing. It's something I can do. It's mindless. It just gets me in a very relaxed state. So just another thing that you can always try.
Yep. Getting outdoors, so walking, a hike, just getting sun, getting fresh air is so valuable. I feel like it's one of the things that we don't do enough. I know between Anne, myself, and Corinne, it is, for all three of us, it is part of our everyday lives. Like it's just what we do. Even when we all get together, we walk. We always try to get outside. There's something to be said about, getting just fresh air and sun exposure. It really helps with the circadian rhythm. It helps to bring down cortisol levels. Of course, like you don't want it to be like 115 degrees like it is here and go out in the middle of the day, or freezing cold. But if you have the opportunity, just even getting outside for like 5 minutes, if you're at work, on a break or something, it can be hugely helpful. I had a client this morning who was really stressed, and she messaged me and told me like just getting out for a walk just helped her reset. So that was huge. Breath work. So breath work is huge. I'll provide some resources for that. There's a lot of different methods you can do, but a lot of times when we are in a high stress state, we are not breathing, right? So we are not getting oxygen to our brains, and it's just a recipe for mayhem. Yoga, again, yoga is like massage. It's good for some, and others it's not. And I always encourage my clients, because for most people that I work with will tell me in the beginning, I hate yoga, and I totally get it, because I felt the same way. But the thing with yoga is you find your practice. Yoga is a practice. It is not something that you have to be a professional yogi at when you start. It is very much something that you start, and then you see your progression like through the years. Actually, it's a really beautiful practice. And sometimes I tell people it could be finding the right venue, finding the right instructor, finding an app, just finding something that you can connect to with yoga, because not all yoga is the same. My favorite app is Down Dog. I love it. I've used it for a couple of years. So if I don't go into a studio, that's what I like to use. And I love hot yoga. That's my thing, because it's so not stressful, but it's like so intense that I can't think about anything else. So I really love it. I also didn't put sauna in here.
Yeah, sauna's a good one to add.
Yeah, so I'll add that to the resource list. Sauna, even a steam room, just because you're elevating body temperatures, and that's always helpful. I have cold therapy on here. So again, that's just regulating or, kind of controlling where your body temperatures are. Wim Hof is a great resource for that. He has like a whole program that he's put together. A hot bath is always good. If you've had a stressful day, just going home and like running yourself a bath, throwing some Epsom salts in there, it can be really, really healing just to kind of reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Positive self-talk and imagery, that is huge, 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 huge. When you are in a state of stress, listen to the stories that you were telling yourself. Listen to how you were talking to yourself, because a lot of times we are just not being kind to ourselves. And that all it does is it keeps to, we're increasing cortisol levels as we're like, oh my God, I'm this, I'm that, I'm failing at this, I suck, whatever we're telling ourselves. So when you are in a state of high stress, step back, maybe do some breath work and start telling yourself kind things and loving things and positive things. So yeah, that's just a list.
Yeah, and when it comes to when you doing those are great things to pair together too. Honestly, Natasha, is you can when you're doing breath work, and I'll take you guys through a small like breath work activity that I do it in the morning and I do it before I go to bed. But you can kind of pair them up. So you can find a mantra and use one mantra that's your in breath mantra and one that's your out breath mantra. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be anything. Like I'll take you guys back to a time in my life when I was incredibly spun out, was going through a divorce, all those things. And I learned to do a lot of breath work, and I would basically just like my in breath was like positive energy in, and then my ex breath was like stress out. And I would literally visualize or I would say calm in and then stress out. And you could actually visualize, both directions. So it kind of combines like positive self-talk along with breathing. And then yoga can be the same thing. Tasha loves Down Dog. I love Sarah Beth on YouTube. And what I love about her is I'm not a big, I struggle with yoga myself. And the reason I fell in love with her is because you can go on her YouTube channel and she has a yoga practice for anything that ails you, like tight hips, my right shoulder hurts, I'm sad today, I'm PMSing, you name it. And they're like 20 minutes. So they're pretty quick and to the point. And there's one for everything. So she's kind of my favorite. So I guess the bottom line is find things that work for you. What works for one person is not going to work for another. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of finding those one or two things that you can do, that you can control, that are quick and easy, that don't require you scheduling a class to get to it, but things that you can do on your own to just bring yourself down. And the other, not that we're doing an infomercial here for whoop straps and Aura rings, but the other thing I love about my whoop strap is that I can see what my heart rate is doing, what my resting heart rate is, and what my respiratory rate is doing. And I can watch it, and I can actually get my heart rate and my respiratory rate to drop while I'm doing breath work. I physically can see that I am learning to slow myself down. So it's been helpful for me in that regard too, that I truly realize I'm slowing myself down.
I like that, Anne. I need to do that one because I think I would like that. Like seeing the data related to something, that I kind of geek out on stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a fun game to be like, okay, can I get myself in a relaxed enough state that I can physically heart rate and my respiratory rate go down? And you can. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so, and I wanted to mention real quickly, because when I was doing the list, I was like, I was going to put exercise and working out, and I did not put it there because I feel like a lot of times, I know for most of us, working out is a way to, to reduce stress, to get an endorphin rush. But it's like I had expressed earlier, sometimes we are in such a heightened state and such like a chronic state of stress that working out is not beneficial. It's not helping to soothe our sympathetic nervous system, right? It's just like, when people are saying you need to stretch after your workout, it's the same thing. The reason why we stretch is so you can give back to your nervous system, because you just went to the gym and your body inside is like, oh my God, what is she doing? She's like tearing apart all these muscles and, you're doing all this crazy stuff. And then you just leave the gym. You haven't given the body the opportunity to reset. That's why we stretch, right? It's like it's bringing the body back into alignment. So it's the same thing with all of these methods. But that's why I did not put working out, because I honestly feel like working out is just part of our lifestyle habits. It's what we do for ourselves. It's what we do to, lead a healthy lifestyle. If you compete, great. If you don't, it's great. But when we start talking about stress reduction, I think we need to go outside of that box and find things for ourselves. I think Christine asked, what do you do when DHEA sulfate is high?
Oh, well, so
I was like,
how high is it? Because so DHEA is an interesting thing. When DHEA gets really elevated, and again, it can get that way from inflammation, it can lead to PCOS. It's kind of a precursor to PCOS. Not to say that's what you have or what's going on, but yes, again, perfect example of a marker in your blood panel that's saying, "Ooh, we're experiencing stress." So yeah, getting your stress down and getting your inflammation down are really, really good places to start when you're trying to bring down something like a DHEA. I think the bigger question for all of us, and it's something that I didn't even start to think about asking until later, is why are these things in blood work wrong? Like, why are things off? And getting down to the root why, like, what is elevated DHEA? I'm not so much concerned about what is it, but why? Like, what is it that drives that up? And I'm kind of finding, as I look at my own lab work and lab work of my clients, that so many of the markers that are elevated in blood work, especially as we age, are stress and inflammation driven. So those are super important. Yeah, it depends on how high your DHEA is. Obviously, I'm not a doctor giving medical advice, but I would check into, if it's really out of range high, look into it for sure.
Krista, you had your hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I have a little Frenchie puppy, so he's breathing. So I was trying to bring him to the track. It didn't work out. Anyways, I wanted to comment because I'm someone that over years and years of chronic stress developed Hashimoto's many years ago. And I moved out to California. It'll be 4 years October. And I developed it in Western New York, where I believe there was a lot of elements. I mean, living in Buffalo, New York, there's lack of sunshine. There's a lot of cold temperatures. There's just a multitude amounts of stress. But what I wanted to say is a testament that I agree with you. Your stress is so important to reduce, but also your sleep. I went through periods where I'm in healthcare. And during the pandemic, I didn't sleep for literally 4 months. I mean, it might have been broken, and it got to the point where I had to take 3 months off of work. I had to finally just say, you know what? My body, my mind, and I knew it. I'm an exercise scientist, so I know that. I work with the heart, and I practice stress as like one of my, and here it was happening to me. And I'm working with Coach Janine right now, and she's wonderful. And I picked her because she's a nurse. So I understand, that's kind of my connection with her. And I'm kind of battling that again because I have to be really mindful now of my training because of the fatigue I'm getting. My antibodies are off the chart. To this day, I still can't figure them out, how to reduce them. And I do everything. I try to do the best I can, but it is a process. And, having something that's autoimmune, when you're training, you have to be really, really mindful. So if there's anyone here who has that, I can't emphasize 100% take those days where you just need rest. And I've had to do that. I feel awful, but you know, Janine and I talk about it and I'm like, listen, I'm wiped out today and I know what I need to do. It's just frustrating. So if you have labs, thyroid, anything that's off, I echo what Ann says. Take some time, meet with your PCP, get those things reviewed. And, you know, it's just, I'm so glad you're giving this talk today because I'm dealing with that. And, I feel like the stress is under, but you know, it's a combination of time and things don't happen overnight. So this process is going to take, I gave myself 3 years. So I'm like at a year in and I said, it's going to take about 3 years. That's just in my head, what I think. So if it comes sooner, great. So, but thank you for doing this topic. I think it's incredibly important for people to hear this. So thanks. That was my share.
Krista, while we're on you, since you're still talking,
Sure.
because you are in a stressful field, what do you do for stress relief? What are your methods?
So what I do is I do yoga. I practice I'm mindfulness meditation with a Buddhist monk, and I go, and I am that person that needs silence and clarity. I'm very, very mindful of saying no. I know now that no is a complete sentence. And as a healthcare professional, you can get pulled away very, very quickly. And I've learned to put healthy boundaries up and also boundaries with myself. As a former professional athlete, I have to, my body just doesn't do what it used to do, which is part of the reason I came aboard with you all, because I can't compete in the way that I used to. So I wanted to do this in a different way. So putting boundaries up, making sure that I take time for me every day to do meditation. I always try to get yoga in. I think those self-care things are incredibly important. And of course, just sleep. Sleep is my nemesis. As soon as my sleep gets off, I know something internally is going on. That's my biggest trigger. So my sleep hygiene is, I have to keep my sleep hygiene in check. So televisions, I make sure if there's a timer, I turn them off. Anything that's going on, I try to go to bed at the same time. A cool, dark place. I also make sure that I reserve my bed for 2 things, sleep and sex. I'm not doing anything else in there, but it's true. We do everything in our beds, right? And we really need to make that our sanctuary. So when we go to sleep, that is what we do. It's for sleep and sex. So it's a process, but I'm so thankful to have Coach Janine because she understands that clinical side of it. And I'm still trying to get it right because I've been training now for maybe a month and a half, and it's a challenge, those rest days. So thank you for saying that because you feel guilty, but your body's not, like I said earlier, you know, peanut butter and jelly is your rest, exercise and nutrition, but the bread that holds it together, or wrap, it's the wrap, is your sleep, because that's when your body makes its good cholesterol. That's when it repairs. That's when you get cellular repair. And if you're not sleeping, I mean, all that other work you're doing, it's not going to happen.
So true, Krista. And that's such a good message too for so many of us that like can't miss a training day. At the end of the day, when your body's inflamed and you're not recovered, you're not doing yourself any favors by training. And I think that's a very hard message. A lot of people on this call to hear, but it's hard for me. I'm 15 years old and I'm just starting to figure out, like, you know what? I'm not recovered. My body is screaming at me to rest, and I'm not doing myself by forcing myself to the gym and forcing myself through a training when I can't hardly move or I'm exhausted. So it's been a lot of years to learn that too. Like, more is not always better.
I just say work smarter, not harder. And part of working smarter is recognizing your body, and you know your body better than anyone. And it's hard to give yourself that grace sometimes because you work so hard in the gym, and that mentality is go, go, go. But, you know, that self-care and self-love and that self-talk and that gratitude has to come and play for you too, right? So yeah.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you. Thank you for bringing up boundaries, because I will definitely add that, because that is so instrumental, right? So thank you. And thank you for sharing your testimony.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions or things I'd like to share, things that they do for self-care and stress release. Krista, we just had Subi. Did you still? Yeah, Subi, there you are.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to throw in that the bath is huge. I add magnesium flakes in my bath instead of and lavender, because when I'm stressed, I mean, like everyone else, I can't sleep. So the magnesium flakes helps with a little bit of lavender essential oil. And then I'm gonna put in the chat, there's this cream that it's a magnesium cream that I like kind of lather on my chest and on the bottom of my feet, and it knocks out right away. And that's like really, really helped with my sleep. I used to use it years ago. And sometimes when you use things and you just like, oh, okay, it's the problem's done and I don't have the problem anymore, you forget. And I remembered like I want to say a few weeks ago, like, oh my God, I used to use this magnesium cream and that helped so much for me to go right to bed. And it's just been, I mean, I've been having the greatest sleep. so I'm going to make sure that I add that into the chat too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else? Questions, comments, stories to share? Okay, Robin, can I pick on you? Because I know you're new to the group and I know you're in this industry and I know you've been through a lot recently. So talk to us. What do you do to bring yourself down? Because you, after everything you've been through, she's new to me, and her attitude and her outlook are phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do. Oh, you're on mute. You're still
You're
on mute.
off mute. She's off mute, but we can't hear her. Let's see.
Oh. Oh. Oh, bummer. Volume issue. Now we lost her camera. Well, shoot. We're waiting for Robin.
Yeah, I can see her, but we just can't hear her.
Oh, I can't even see her. Oh, bummer.
How about now?
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you see me too or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I can
Okay,
see
good.
you.
All right. So I just went through back-to-back shoulder surgeries, total replacements. I've taught fitness for over 30 years. So y'all know about how old I am. And yeah, it's been very stressful. And I was at my wit's end. I've always, not always, but had not a lot of problem with like weight and, kept it in check. And then all of a sudden, like the cortisol just went through the roof. And a friend of mine was going to Anne. So I'm like, what are you doing? Because she was built about like me and she's a little younger than me, but she told me. And then Anne, of course, said everything that I've already been reading, but the accountability helps. And as far as like finding less stress, I mean, I do all of the above that you all like put on the list. I mean, I journal, I meditate, I teach yoga, I do yoga. Has been off now because of recovery. But the mindset is everything. That's, you just have to push through and say this too shall pass. So, but it's been a lot, but I'm ready to roll. So,
It's on the mend.
yes.
Good. All right. Well, if nobody, one of the big things for me is staying consistent with what works. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, figuring out what works and sticking with it. I think we all are guilty. I know I was. I got very into meditation. And then when the crisis in my life disappeared, I stopped meditating, and it was not very smart. Like, it was working really well for me. Why would I stop doing that? But you do. I think you just are like, oh, I don't need that anymore. Kind of like you and the magnesium cream, right? So you're like, oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, we can always come back to these things. But yeah, you're right. Whoever said that, sticking with what works. So I don't know how many of you on here have done any kind of breath work, breathing exercises, or that sort of thing. I was just going to take you through a quick one that I use. I use a lot at night when I'm getting in bed and trying to slow myself down. And I'm with Krista, no TV in the room. It was probably one of the best decisions my husband and I made when we moved into this house. We were not putting a TV in our bedroom. So sometimes we'll get in bed and I'm just not tired yet. So I'll do some like breathing exercises to try and get my body down. Of course, I'll look at my whoop and make sure my heart rate and everything's coming down. But so box breathing, don't know if anybody's familiar with box breathing, but you're literally visualizing a box, and you're visualizing, for me, I visualize like a tall rectangle kind of. So when you breathe in, if you're not yoga breathers, when you're breathing in through your nose, that's when you want to let your abdominal cavity expand. So you're letting your lungs expand and your abdominal cavity expand. And so that's the breathing in, and then you're going to hold for the count of 2. So I literally visualize like a box, and then I hold for 2. And then as you exhale, you want to like push all of the air out of your abdominal cavity and through your lungs, and almost feel like the tension and everything going out of your head. Hold for 2, and then breathe in, letting your belly expand. Hold for 2, breathe out. So that's just a box breathing exercises, and you can combine it with a mantra. So you can do like, okay, energy, positive energy in, hold, negative energy out. That used to be my mantra. Now it's like tension and stress, breathe it in, and then, push it out. So you're just visualizing your breathing going in a box. My husband's at the opposite end of the spectrum. He had a fairly traumatic medical problem and caused him some PTSD. So he gets into these weird states where he just feels like he's kind of panicking or having a borderline panic attack, and it's not something he's used to. So he does 4-4-8. So breathe into the count of 4, and then you hold for the count of 4, and then you slow release to an 8 count. And then same thing, breathe into the count of 4, hold for 4, count of 4, slow, push it out to the count of 8. He finds that works wonders for just getting his nervous system to like slow down so he can like get a grip and not have it spin out of control more. So those are just minor ones. And then Natasha had talked about Wim Hof, and he's the cold therapy guru, but he's also kind of a breathwork guru. So again, on YouTube, you can do a guided breath work with Wim Hof, and they're amazing because he really teaches you like in a sequence pattern of how to hold your breath for longer periods of time before you exhale. And you need to do it laying down because it makes you a little bit dizzy sometimes, but it's phenomenal. And it's amazing just when you get done how clear I feel. You just feel clear and calm. And those are all things, they're free. You can do them in your home. You can spend 5 minutes doing it, just learning how to slow down your central nervous system. So those are my breath works.
Thank you, Anne.
You're welcome.
So I will put kind of all the things that we've chatted about today and just put them in like a document so you guys can reference them, and then I'll post them in the WhatsApp group so you guys can grab any information that you need to.
Perfect.
So yeah, I think that's all we've got today. Dana's not in the WhatsApp. Let me post the link real quick, Dana.
Okay.
See here. Oh goodness. Let me see. Where do we have it? We have it on our big. We have it on our coaches on our schedule. I'm going to pull it
You
from
know,
there.
you in your mind, Dana, I can send it to you. I'll send you the link through the app,
Copy.
through TrainRise. I can send it to you.
Oh, well,
Okay.
it's really helpful if I just put the word platinum. That's not even spelled correctly.
It's okay. Do this here. I can send her the link.
Okay, but I'll put it here just in case somebody doesn't have it. So there's the WhatsApp group chat link, so you can grab that if you need to be added. But yeah, other than that, I will put the link in there. We don't have our date for our next call, but I mean, we try to do it around the same time each month. So we'll let you guys know when it's going to be as we come up with that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate you guys taking some time out on your Sunday and sharing your stories with us. Yeah, all we got.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, have a great week. Thank you.
All right. Stop our recording.
All right.
Good Lord Almighty.